Today we're reviewing something new, something special, something which is priced just $30 higher than the original, but its performance has improved quite a bit. This is the JDS Labs Stack. It is made from the Atom DAC 2 and Atom Amp 2. They are $129 each and they are made to be together. As you can see, this is a stack, but together they are about $260. So right now they are connected via RCA cables because the Atom Amp 2 is just a headphone amplifier. It doesn't have a DAC input, and the DAC is just a DAC. It doesn't have a headphone output. The cables I'm using to connect them are from DD Hi-Fi RC20A. As far as I've tested, they are about equal to the Amazon basic cables in sonic quality, but just look, they look much nicer. This stack is now made of metal. The original Atom Amp and Atom DAC, even the Plus versions, were made of plastic, and this was a concern for some users because they wanted something which feels more substantial. So let's see, two metallic devices. They're a bit heftier now, so they feel more solid. Let's start with the DAC part. The Atom DAC 2 is very similar to the DAC 1, but we have a USB Type-C input, which is an upgraded version. We have RCA output, optical input, we have the 15 volts VAC input, and an on-off switch at the back. The LED light at the front doesn't do anything, so you don't touch it, you don't press on it. It is just an LED ring light to give it a bit of an accent in design. And we have an USB/optical input selector. Both units can be engraved with your design or your name. And one interesting thing is that the JDS Labs Atom DAC 2 now doesn't have that interesting rocker switch that it used to have. It has an on-off switch at the back. It is a much more human design. It has a UAC 2 driver, but it can fall back on UAC 1. For example, if your device doesn't support UAC 2, which makes it compatible with most devices, including some consoles, some older devices, it is generally very compatible. I was able to use it with my computer without problems, without any driver installed. It just runs. There is no USB DAC delay, and it has an output at 2 volts, which is pretty standard for a DAC. So most amplifiers like the JDS Labs Atom Amp 2 will expect this kind of voltage, 2 volts, it is very standard. To the Amp 2, because it is a more important part in creating the sound, this is a headphone amplifier. JDS Labs was typically dedicated to not including a balanced headphone output. So it is interesting to see the Atom Amp 2 having a 4.4mm balanced headphone output. The trick here, it is just the design. So basically this is the shape of the 4.4mm balanced headphone output. It is balanced in theory, but it is single-ended. So both poles are connected to the same single-ended part of the amplifier. So both the single-ended and the balanced headphone output have exactly the same loudness, same sound. There is no difference. It is just there so that you don't have to use an adapter if you already have a balanced cable. It is pretty good. So the point is that it still is more powerful than most of the competition. At about $129 for just the amplifier, it has more power than FIO K11. And although in my review I have noted that FIO K11 is a very good replacement for the older FIO K5 Pro, JDS Labs Atom Amp 2 has about twice the power of the FIO K11. Even better, this one has a lower distortion and better overall power control. So if you turn the volume up, it will distort less than FIO K11, although FIO K11 doesn't have a high distortion either. So both of them are very good with keeping the distortion levels low and keeping the music entertainment high. The Atom Amp 2 has an output impedance of about 0.7 ohms, which is typically okay. So anything below 1 ohm is good because your EMs will not have hissing, they will not have background noise, and the unit has a very low background noise too. It can be used as a preamplifier, so you have both an RCA input and an RCA output. The RCA output is activated when you plug both headphones out of their sockets, so you can use the volume controller to control the volume of the speakers they are connected to the amp. This is a stack. So as I was saying, this is designed to be used as a stack. It is quite obvious from the design language, from the size of the units, from everything. This stack is made to be together. They are best friends, even partners. This stack has a bit of space above the Atom DAC 2. I would keep the Atom DAC 2 at the bottom because it doesn't grow very hot. It is a pretty cool running device, while the Amp 2 gets pretty hot. So the Amp 2 can sit at the top so that heat emanates upwards so that the DAC at the bottom doesn't get heated. If you reverse them, then all of the heat from the Amp 2 will climb higher onto the DAC 2 and it will grow even hotter because it has some heat production by its own. As a stack, it doesn't occupy quite that much space. It is actually not as tall as the space beneath my television. It has more than enough space there. And naturally you are here about the sound, right? So the sound of the JDS Atom Stack 2 is insanely good. Or at least for the price performance. I know I am saying this quite often, but JDS Labs has a special place for many people because this company cares about the raw technical performance of their devices. They don't care about fluffy marketing. They typically don't even tell us what DAC chip is inside of their DACs. They don't tell us a lot about the marketing stuff, but what they do is they make very solid devices and they let us judge their devices with our ears. This unit sounds slightly warm, so there is a slight hint of warmth in the mid-range. The sub-bass is very powerful, very punchy and very deep. The control is very good, although the bass can be natural in speed, not very quick. It is not sloppy, but it is just a tiny bit slower than what I would consider perfectly neutral. The bass has a very good substance, it has a very good amount, and it has a very good punch. The bass tends to be slightly more woolly, so it has a bit of texture to it. The transient of the bass tends to be on the natural level, and the bass doesn't bleed into the mid-range at all. Of course, this is almost at perfect transparency, so you'll expect me to say that it is just perfectly transparent. Well, it isn't exactly at perfect transparency, because for example, FioK11 is perfectly transparent. With FioK11, it doesn't really affect the character of the headphones. With the JDS Stack 2, it tends to have a very slight character of its own. It tends to add a bit of musicality, a slight hint of warmth, and a slight hint of smoothness in the treble. Although the treble isn't very smooth, it has all of the energy, brightness, and resolution the treble should have. It has that very slight hint of refinement. It is refined, it is clean, and it doesn't distort at all, so you'll get the feeling that your headphones have been refined. That is the word I would typically use to describe this kind of sound. The soundstage is very good, it is very natural, rounded actually, so you get both depth, width, and you get a good height to the soundstage as well. You get a very rounded presentation where music is coming from everywhere around the listener. The technical resolution is high. It is about on the level with most equipment priced in the same price range. Although if you are looking for the ultimate resolution, the JDS Labs Atom 2 stack beats the FioK11, although it is about twice as pricey because FioK11 is about $129 for the entire DAC amp, while here you have a DAC and a separate amplifier for $129. You can do about as much as you can do with FioK11, and as I was saying, the driving power is about double with the JDS stack. So you get double the headphone driving power, which means that you'll be able to drive headphones which are as hard to drive as HiFiMan Heshe 1000 Special Edition, which I actually even have right here. This is the headphone that I've used the most during this review, so it was the headphone that was used to test the stack. It all boils down to the driving power. If the stack is able to drive this headphone and to have a very nice sound with it, why wouldn't you use it? The pricier Element 3 Mark II Boosted will have a higher resolution, will have more driving power, will have an even tighter bass, more control, and a wider, more holographic soundstage. It also has DSP or digital signal processing, which means that you can add some treble, you can add some bass, and you can change the tuning of it, even influence the second and the third order harmonics. But the JDS Atom 2 stack doesn't have any of those features. What this one has is a very solid performance for both the DAC and the amp. You can purchase them separately and integrate them in different systems, so I don't think that you are obliged to purchase both and to use both at the same time. They can be used in a separate system. I think that the amplifier will be slightly more popular right now because we are in a place where most entry-level amplifiers don't have this kind of power. 2 watts, 2600 milliwatts of power per channel at 32 ohms. That's just insanely high. And to give you that power, they use a huge power brick. I actually even had the power bricks in the back. Those are the 2 power bricks. The larger, much heavier power brick is used for the amp because the amp needs much more power, while the DAC has a much smaller power brick. There is a small difference between them actually. The power brick for the amp can provide you with 16 volts and 1000 milliamperes, while the power brick for the DAC can provide you with 15 volts but 500 milliamperes of power. The DAC doesn't consume that much power. It is a cool running DAC, it is solid, and it has a solid performance. You will have to have enough space to have those two together if you are going to purchase the entire stack. That being said, if you are going to purchase a really solid looking and really solid performing DAC, you can go for the JDS Atom DAC 2. It has an improved construction quality from the original. It is now made of metal. It doesn't grow as hot during usage. It has a beautiful LED ring at the front. It has very low noise levels, but you have to keep in mind that it doesn't have volume control. So you'll need something to control the volume if you are connecting it to something which doesn't have volume control. For example, it would be perfect for a pair of active speakers or for an active amplifier which has volume control. It would be perfect for any setup where you need a very solid DAC performance and you don't want to spend too much. Well, the Atom amp, this one is truly special. They improved the volume wheel, they improved the design where they have this beautiful LED ring at the front. They improved the headphone outputs because now you have both a single-ended large 6.3mm headphone output and a 4.4mm headphone output. It is single-ended, but it has the balanced format. Since they are connected to the same amplifier part, it is single-ended in theory, but nothing can provide you with 2600 milliwatts of power per channel even on the balanced headphone output. JDS Labs somehow has much more power on the top than any other amplifier. They are actually stronger than amplifiers in the $500 price range. It is just the JDS Labs Element 3 Mark II boosted that gets near this kind of power at this price point. If we climb the price ladder, we have the A1 17 Pro and much larger, beefier headphone amplifiers available. For something mini, for something which is pocket friendly, and for something which should bring you a lot of fun, this is the stack of your dreams. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you are enjoying the content. I hope you'll leave a like on this video, press subscribe to Audiophile Heaven, and I hope we'll see each other really soon. Bye bye.